What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 417 of the Smark Moments Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert D. Felice.
What up, Tony?
Lots of things are up. Lots of hot tags for us to get into, and if you don't know what the hot tags are, too bad.
It's your daily news it's your weekly news breakdown from Smark Moment.
Hey, we talk about anything on the rumor side of things. We talk about the gossip, the BS, the scuttlebutt, the news, the current events, everything that
probably getting the food at some point in the night.
At some point, I've seen some good food pictures earlier today on Instagram. Good old snack talk. Yeah, so we're doing hot tags. We got lots of hot tags going back all the way from the last hot tag. So we actually have to go beyond what happened with War Games and Survivor Series. Obviously, if you did not check out what we talked about with Survivor Series and War Games, go and check out those pay-per-view point podcasts because that's where we talked about those. We're not going to really recap all that stuff because that's not the point. But we do need to go all the way back to Tuesday or so, which was NWA Powerrr. I have not watched the episode that we are going to talk about, and I'm not going to watch this week's either. I fell off NWA Powerrr. I kind of just don't want to watch it anymore. Are you watching the show still?
Alright, I have the full playlist on my library on YouTube, but I have not watched a complete episode of NWA Powerrr since like the first couple. I did go back and watch all of the nonsense we're about to talk about, which is Jim Cornette he doesn't get fired. He resigns personally from NWA after making a comment on episode 7 of NWA Powerrr about Trevor Murdoch. For those who don't know, the comment was, Trevor Murdoch is so tough that he's the only person I know who could strap a bucket of fried chicken on his back and ride a motor scooter through Ethiopia.
Naturally, people took that and said, wow, that's kind of racist. We don't really like that. And NWA did the kind of thing where it's like, all right, well, we're going to reprimand this and we don't stand by it and all the other kind of stuff that goes along with that. Kind of one of those situations where it's clear that the fact that it went through means that somebody approved it or that nobody cared enough to really kind of bring it up to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of those people that thinks that people are both equally too sensitive nowadays and not sensitive enough. I'm very much gray area with that kind of stuff. So, like, I made the joke recently that, nowadays you can say hello to somebody and they can get upset that you didn't say hi instead, because it's true. But at the same time, I'm also the type of person who's like, yeah, horribly racist things and horribly sexist things and all that, like, should not be really tolerated. Because it's just, like, fucking self-explanatory on both ways, I think, I think both extremes are absolutely insane, and the middle ground is how you have to go. And for a comment like this on commentary, for the joke itself, I get where he's going. And I can see an argument trying to be made that it's like, oh, that's just a joke, get over it. But at the same time, I side more on the idea of, yeah, but that's really just a racist joke. Like,
now, do you think if he'd have said he can strap a T-bone steak to his back, is it suddenly not offensive? Or is the fact that it's racist and it's a joke against starvation?
It's not as bad in my mind. But you can still make the argument that why is he picking on Ethiopia? But then at the same time, it's like, well, fucking Starvin' Marvin picks on Ethiopia. And it's just one of those things that has become like this cultural idea of Ethiopia is this starving country, which is, again,
not funny.
No laughing matter outside of the fact that there is a discussion of shouldn't everything kind of be open to the idea that you can laugh at it because life is just absurd. Like, I don't think that there's ever been a single thing in my life that I could say, under no circumstances would I ever laugh about that subject matter.
So that was Jim's exact defense. Outside of the stuff about in his life, there's nothing he wouldn't laugh at. That was his exact defense. It's a starvation joke. I told it for the first time in 1980, whatever, about Big Bubba Rogers, Big Boss Man. because that was a very hot topic back in the day. I said it again on 1995 TV, and I said it again about Trevor Murdoch.
Times change, so you have to adapt.
I will say this flat out. One thing I like about Jim Cornette is I'll never feel like he's lying.
Yeah.
So when
he's very genuine about what he does, good or bad.
When he says, I didn't apologize because I didn't think there's anything that need to be apologized for, that's okay. I will say Great Brian Last, his podcast co-host, did call him out and say, listen, I didn't like the joke. I think it's an outdated joke. I thought it was an outdated joke even back then.
Right.
He said, but I also don't think you're a racist. Here's where we get into the tricky situation of it. I think people just wanted Jim Cornette's head here. And this was an irrefutable situation to where it was like, all right, let's just cut all of our losses here. Because people don't like Jim Cornette. They don't like his views. He's very curmudgeonly. A lot of what he says now can come off as, homophobic or racist. Whether it means to or not doesn't matter. That's what it comes across as. Now, Brian Last also said something that I think is key. He's like, listen, if it's racist, okay, but I also don't need a 20-year-old white boy telling me how offended he is by the joke because,
Because he's woke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example from my personal life of, whoa, times have changed. Sitting at home the other day, my mom wanted to watch Eddie Murphy's Raw on Netflix. Have you ever seen Eddie Murphy's Raw?
Yep.
The first joke, I'll put that in quotes, out of Eddie Murphy's mouth from this 1987 comedy special is, and I'm quoting here, don't shoot me for the language, first things first.
Everybody cock your guns.
First things first, no faggots looking at me. Place blows. Ah! You can't. The first 5 minutes of the whole special were, yeah, and gay people, isn't that disgusting?
Right.
Times have absolutely changed that you shouldn't and you can't get away with that now. And it's just a matter of know the culture that you're broadcasting to. And this is where you get into the fucking thing of everybody wants the NWA. Oh, we want it wrestling as it should be. You know why it didn't get taken down from the first run through? Because people thought it was fine. Because it went right over Dave Lagana's head. Because it went right over Billy Corgan, even though I doubt he actually listened to the first run of it. It went right over his head because it's Cornette being Cornette, and that's why you signed on Cornette, because you want Cornette and his antiquated 80s heel manager jokes on commentary. You got what you paid for, you ran into an issue, and you immediately tried to backpedal.
And the NWA is more of like a Southern wrestling type thing, and there is the whole culture when it comes to some of that stuff too.
And that, again, doesn't make it right, doesn't make what he said right. This is where I go, if you're going to bring something back, you need to elevate it to the times that we're in. And if we're looking at what gets over right now and what's cool right now, it's and I'll use Cornette's term, the community play theater wrestling of, hey, Joey Ryan's gonna flip you with his dick. Like, people want to laugh. They don't want to be told, oh, this is a shoot, brother, and Dusty Rhodes is gonna chase down the Midnight Express. They don't want that right now. They want either Mortal Kombat style matches or just full on, hey, Joey Ryan is going to flip you with his penis unless you are Faye Jackson, who's going to twerk all over him. And there's a definite market for it. But Cornette doesn't fit in today's brand of wrestling. And the director of The Joker, I'm forgetting his name, please forgive me. You might be able
Todd
to...
Phillips.
Todd Phillips, thank you. Todd Phillips said, I stopped being a stand-up comedian because woke culture, it's not cut out for me. Dave Chappelle said the same thing. You're going to have to wait again for me because I don't like the culture right now. I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying, this isn't for me anymore. goodbye.
And with the whole Jim Cornette thing, it's like, yeah, the joke, I think everybody pretty much would agree. It's racist.
It's fucking wrong.
And
It's 100% wrong. But it's not. I do not blame Jim Cornette. I blame whoever listened to the show the first time and thought, "Ah, that's fine."
I blame Cornette for thinking that you can do that joke in 2019 and it's not going to cause any issues.
Jim Cornette's mind isn't in.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a fact. His mind is not in 2019.
And I think that a lot of times people get upset over things for no reason. And I think that this isn't necessarily one of those cases, because I think that, yeah, you have every reason to be like, hey, come on, don't make jokes like that. And then I also think that people aren't willing to, like, kind of just move on from stuff as much either. Like, really, to me, a situation like this should be like, it shouldn't happen. If it does happen, they should catch it on the editing and say, hey, maybe we should probably take that out because I don't think that's going to go over well. And then bring it up and be like, yeah, let's try not to make Joe's jokes again. And then if it happens and it gets on the air or whatever and people do get upset about it, and then if you're Jim Cornette, the responsible thing to do is to go, hey, look, I did the joke a bunch of years ago. I guess I didn't realize that it's outdated and all that. I'm sorry. And then I think that everybody else's response should be like, all right, dude, come on, don't do it again, but we'll give you another chance. Now, you can't give everybody 1,000 chances.
People were done giving Cornette chances.
That's the other thing.
There is a contingent of people don't like Cornette. And you know how that is when people don't like somebody and it's just like, we're going to get this motherfucker.
Then it's like a witch hunt type thing.
And that is a little bit of what I felt happened here. Doesn't mean that I think what he said was right at all. I just think that there was an idea of, I'm mad that they put Cornette on the show. Let's get him out of there, whatever we can do to do it.
Yeah.
And cancel culture is wrong. Obama himself called this shit out and told Democrats to stop doing this cancel culture thing. Different conversation entirely.
Yeah.
But, you know.
To use the phrase that I say a million times, it all boils down to
don't do bad things.
The gray areas and the golden rule.
And you know, this just was it for Jim Cornette. That being said, The Observer had this like long piece on Cornette, almost as if he had died, because Dave feels like this very well may be the end of his career. And in truth, outside of his own podcast, it could be. And like, what are your memories of Jim Cornette?
Like the 90s WWF.
WWF. So that's my introduction to him. And I fell in love with like the NWA stuff, the Midnight Express stuff. And he's a funny shooting interview. I don't care what anyone says. It's fun for me to listen to a crazy man ramble. Like, there is a bit of haha in that. You know, where he's just like, and motherfuck this one and fuck that. You know, I get a kick out of that. Goddamn. And the fucking Russo, you know, I get a fucking kick out of that. And I want Jim Cornette to just be the historian and do that stuff, because then he's well worth listening to. When he's on his own witch hunt for, you know, and fuck AEW and fuck that's not fun. In short, I hate people who go around looking for confrontation just to be confrontational.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Make bad jokes, apologize for them, try not to make the bad jokes to begin with, learn from it as a company, try not to run into those issues as a company from the beginning of it.
Let them play reindeer games.
Yeah. So you agree or disagree? Drop a comment below and do the same thing for all the other hot topics that hot topics. Okay.
Oh, we going to hot topic? What are we getting AEW in there?
I hope I'm not going there. I've never once bought a thing of hot topic in my life.
Really? Well, I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already pale enough. If I walk in there, they're gonna think I'm goth or something. Yeah, the other hot tags, anything else you want to chime in about, drop a comment below. Obviously, if you're on the audio-only platforms, the Google Plays, the Spotifys, what you kids are listening to nowadays, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever it may be, you can't leave a comment there, so hop on over to YouTube. And while you do that, ring that little bell for the notifications, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, like the video as well, and as I said, drop a comment below, because we got plenty of other hot tags to talk about. Another tweet to talk about, multiple things about tweets on this, is this one's a positive one. Alicia Fox says that she's been going to rehab and she's like turning things around, which is awesome.
Hell yeah. And she wants to now help people turn their life around. And I think that's great. And I'm always for people bettering themselves and learning from their mistakes. So thumbs up all the way around.
Again, harkens back to the idea that people can change. And if you do something and you had some kind of a problem, you should take the responsibility to try to fix that and learn from it and be better. And it looks like Alicia Fox has kind of realized now that she had a problem. And it took a while to get to that point. But hopefully now it's really clicked in her head. And this rehab stuff has really helped out. And she can get things back on track. And we can just hear about positive stuff. Because she's still pretty young. That's the thing. Like,
How old is she?
I think she might be like my age or so. Yeah, she's 33.
Yeah.
So it's like...
She's still super young.
33, you know. And if anybody wants to says 33 is old, I'll be like, God damn it.
God damn.
God damn, motherfucker. Double onion. Yeah, so it's like she could do a lot of different things. She's, you know, beautiful. She could do modeling. She could try to get back into wrestling a little bit more if like things turn around like that, or she wants to do that too. She could do other business ventures and stuff, or she could just like, you know, live the rest of her life and do whatever the fuck else she wants to do. It doesn't have to be anything.
It's your life, and you can do whatever you want.
She could start popping out kids. She could travel the globe and do nothing but, I don't know, hand out M&Ms to people on the side of the road. I don't know why that came in.
Well, she did the first half of that as part of her wrestling career. Remember, because she was from a Divas era where, as Nikki Bella once so wonderfully said, our job is to travel the world. You know, it's... Alicia Fox is awesome. She always goes down in history as the only African-American Divas champion. Nobody can take that away from her.
Really? She's the only one?
Only one.
Naomi did? No, Naomi won the women's title. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Huh. Yeah. So, I mean, that's great. Always good to have, like, good news for the hot tags instead of just, like, all the other bad things. But we do have other tweet stuff to talk about here. Let's talk about Corey Graves. Let's talk about Mauro Ranallo. Corey Graves had tweeted out some criticism about Mauro on the TakeOver commentary. He had said, just in case you didn't know, that there's a former Ring of Honor World Champion and a Hall of Famer on the commentary. I might think that they might have something to say, or something along those lines. I'm not doing it verbatim. And then somebody else...
You want me to do it verbatim? Because...
Go for it.
I accidentally retweeted this thing, and my mentions have been blowing up all day long. So, Corey Graves said, you might not know it, but there is a WWE Hall of Famer. Oh, sorry. Just for the record, I know you guys wouldn't know, but there's actually a WWE Hall of Famer and a former Ring of Honor champion on commentary. I'd imagine they have a lot to offer. I guess this was like him saying Mauro is too much on commentary.
Basically, like, Mauro won't shut the fuck up, I guess.
I completely fucking disagree. I think I hear quite a lot of Beth and Nigel on commentary.
And somebody else had tweeted out saying, like, how many rock and roll references has he made or something like that. And he had said far, far too many. So the next thing that happens is Mauro Ranallo basically deletes his Twitter account, and it seems like by, you know, just the transitive properties, I guess you could say, that it's that he didn't want to deal with that. You know, he's mentioned before he deals with depression and everything like that, and anxiety issues, so that probably got to be too much for him. And then people start attacking Corey Graves, and Corey Graves starts fighting back at the idea of the, you know, the truth is the thing that's going to come out, and defending his point of view. And now there's even reports going on, if you believe Brad Shepard, that there are people in WWE that kind of want to, you know, take some shots at Corey Graves about the whole situation, that he's got heat.
I appreciate Tony for bringing that up, but you should never believe Brad Shepard. For the record, I just want to throw that out there. But
you should never believe anybody, for sure. I mean, am I really named Tony?
I thought your name was Orange.
Could be.
Basically, WWE came out and said, listen, Mauro blew out his voice doing TakeOver. So for the NXT title match, Michael Cole called the match. And then
Could you say that there are no words?
Dave Meltzer said something to the effect of, that was a lie. And he, was bothered by Corey's tweet. Corey tweeted, this is what I retweeted that got me my mentions blowing up all day. Hi, Dave Meltzer. You uninformed, false narrative pushing liar. My phone works. You're a journalist, right? You can find my number. So basically, the whole day, everybody's been like, well, if your phone works, why don't you just text Mauro your issues instead of tweeting, you bitch? Basically doing that all day.
So this is where the whole grain of salt thing comes in. And why you can't believe anything that you see unless, like, you actually see it. Even then, you can't really 100% believe it. Is there an issue between Corey and Mauro? Maybe. Is Corey just busting Mauro's balls? Maybe.
Potentially.
They could be buds, and this could just be like, ripping on
But
him.
he might have...
He might have struck a nerve.
But if they were buds... Because this harkens back to when Mauro was on SmackDown, and the story came out about JBL kind of hazing him because he's JBL, and Mauro was like bragging about winning Wrestling Observer Announcer of the Year or some shit. And this led to like Mauro being taken away completely and then resurfacing on NXT. But then when he resurfaced, he came back and said, I'm cool with JBL. This wasn't about JBL.
Right. So everybody does the whole game where you never know really what to believe in.
Mental illness is a real thing. So if you'll allow me to get on my soapbox at 1:30 in the morning, there's two sides. One side that's like, we need to treat everybody with kid gloves and make sure they have cotton candy pillows to fall back on. And then there's a side that's like, this generation sucks. They're so fucking weak. God, you can't handle anything. You're all bitches. You're all pussies. But like, people have different levels of tolerance. That's always been true. It's just people have a better understanding of that now. Mauro Ranallo is very open about his fight against mental health. They did a great Showtime documentary about it. Maybe he had a legitimate trigger. And I don't mean triggered like meme triggers.
Yeah, hashtag
I mean
triggered.
like he was actually fucking triggered and needed to take a step back and take some time for his mental health. I'm sure Corey will address this on his podcast, and myself and all the other news writers will need to transcribe it. I think this will all blow over. Twitter makes everything worse. I don't blame Mauro for getting rid of his Twitter for a little while. I did that in the past when I needed some space. I've gotten rid of social media. There's nothing wrong with it. You take a break. It's not the end of the fucking world. But people want to judge everybody based on these things, and Mauro happens to be a very open book. And I hate that he didn't call Survivor Series. I think he deserved it. But what can you do?
I even think that, like, you can't even judge the situation without knowing the beginning of it. Like, I still don't know if Corey is pissed at Mauro and was taking a shot to try to, like, bring him down.
Yeah, maybe he felt Mauro talked over him when they were on commentary together.
Maybe there's a grudge. Or maybe he is just busting his balls. Or maybe it really wasn't supposed to be taken in that regard. And if there was an issue and there isn't supposed to be an issue, maybe he apologized. Because we don't know anything. Like,
yeah.
And if there isn't an apology and there is an issue, maybe they have beef. And you know what? It's perfectly fine for people to not like each other.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, you're going to have issues with people in life, and everybody's going to express that in different ways.
Now, if Corey is being a dick and he's bullying somebody that he knows has, like, a sensitivity for certain things, and he's, like, trying to, poke and prod, then yeah, that's being an asshole kind of thing to do. But maybe that's not the case. And like, everybody jumping on the brigade of anything all the time just to be like, oh, we're going to be the army that fights this battle is like, oh my God, can you guys, like,
And if you believe
apply
anything,
that energy to something else in your own life, you know?
If you believe any of the rumors and text messages that came out when all the Carmella stuff came out, Corey's had his own battles with mental illness, so I don't think he'd joke around about that. I just think this is probably him projecting this idea of, like, NXT commentary team is more than just Mauro Ranallo.
Shit, it could be him trying to take a shot at NXT for the Survivor Series angle stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that. Like, it could
maybe
be
he doesn't want to apologize because fuck you. I don't need to expose everything to you.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see what he says on After the Bell. And if it ends up being that he was being a jerk, then he deserves the backlash that he'll get behind the scenes or whatever. And if he's not being a jerk, then leave it the fuck alone.
But at the end of the day, this is a situation about mental health. And I think this is the perfect transition to another thing that happened midday Sunday. And that's Kylie Rae came out and addressed her leaving All Elite Wrestling.
Now, let me stop for a second here and just address something that pisses me off. Why do we have Kylie Rae and Kaylee Rae?
Because Kylie is smiley and Kaylee is not.
This is one of those things that I typed out Kylie Rae earlier, and I instinctively started typing out Kaylee Rae, and I'm like, wait, Kylie Rae. Oh my god, I hate it all. Yeah.
I definitely think that they came together without knowing that the other existed.
Yeah, they definitely don't. Well, Kaylee Rae, that's her real name.
It's
not spelled Kaylee.
Oh,
Rae.
Kylie's real name is Brianna. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sure Kylie Rae didn't go, hey, there's this woman in the wrestling business named Kaylee Rae, and I'm going to try to do Kylie Rae, but it's just,
it works because Smiley Kylie. I like it.
So she had spoken a little bit on how the whole situation went down with her leaving AEW, and she really didn't say anything, but if you read between the lines, it's essentially, she had a bit of a nervous breakdown, it seems.
Well, no, I would even say she said a lot. It was guised under, like, there was religious overtones, but she basically said that she's grateful for AEW. She wants them to succeed. Her mind wasn't in the right place. She needed to take a step back. Because again, y'all, that is healthy. That it is okay to do that. She had to say that nobody made her leave because it was making the rounds that Randy bullied her out of the company.
That there was a story going around that Jericho made a pass at her backstage.
Yeah, that they were trying to force her into doing something with Jericho, which is fucking wild. Like, if you pay attention to anything, you would understand that if that was even remotely true, so many red flags would have came out right away. Mm-hmm. Nobody would have stayed quiet about that shit.
And more than likely, somebody like a Chris Jericho would have been reprimanded for it. It would have been a bigger issue with this other stuff.
It would have been huge. If Jericho would, think, guys, you gotta think.
Because she had left social media at the same time, which, again, the right thing to do. If everything is getting to be too loud, you shut some things off. And it's like, good on her that she decided that's too much to handle. Let me take a step back. And then just move on. And I'm sure there's part of her that's like, man, that really sucks that I wasn't able to do that and everything. But let me try to work towards that again.
And I'm sure she's going to get there.
Yeah, and they like her enough that they'll bring her on board whenever she is ready and whenever they're ready. And it's like, having the same discussion again. It's like, all right, well, then that's not all that hard to unpack. And there's gray areas to certain things. And there you go. It's like...
And exactly what we said about Mauro. And here's the thing, guys. She's only been doing this for 3 years.
Really?
She probably just was freaking out. Especially because, and this is me talking, not something that happened, but she was put on blast with that whole, and she's actually nice too, unlike somebody who just has wacky ways and inflatable arm playing tube man. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, then you're starting to create a little bit of a rivalry. Then I'm sure she got Bailey fans that are all tweeting at
Yeah,
her and
Bailey
making her go
stands are all
crazy.
like, "Oh fuck you, you fake Bailey." You know, like social media is dumb, guys. It really is.
The takeaways from all these tweeting things are:
Social media is bad for you, and you
don't
should stop.
don't do stupid things if you can avoid it. If you do something stupid, then apologize for it and learn from it and move on. Try to be a better person. If you run into issues, the bad people are the bad people, the good people are the good people. There's probably gray areas in between, and most people suck.
Exactly.
That's basically what it is. So it's like the Jim Cornette thing. Yeah, lots of issues there. We ran down that whole thing. The Alicia Fox thing, very good. The Kylie Rae stuff, good for her that she took that time aside and she seems to be getting back on track on that. The Corey Graves stuff, we don't know what the situation is.
Exactly.
And if he's being a jerk, he deserves to get some kind of, I don't know, jerk revenge or something, or whatever you want to call it.
Revenge of the jerk.
And if not, then that won't happen. So the thing I like about the hot tags is breaking down this scuttlebutt bullshit that happens in the world of pro wrestling and just being like, look, let's cut through the matter. This is the situation as far as we're aware. These are the ways things can go, and that's it. Instead of being like, here's a headline, Corey Graves retweeted a picture of an apple, and that means that this is it's like, oh, come on.
Well, I think the takeaway here is that we all need some healing crystals. Not knocking anybody who does that, because I have several friends who do.
I'll knock them. That's not going to work.
I believe that does it Carolyn?
She does the whole like sage the apartment type thing.
Similar energy.
And any time that she's done anything like that, I've made the joke of like, all right, well, let me get the parsley and the rosemary in time, because I'm lame. Let's move on to let's get that chocolate cake, Callum. We didn't talk about the Intercontinental Championship. Now this is again old news. No hat, just a belt. The Intercontinental title has changed the design. It's not the classic one anymore. We talked a little bit about it on the Mega Maniacs group on Facebook, but I figured let's talk about it on the hot tags because we didn't really address it all that much. I like it, although I think that it could be a little better.
I like it a lot. I did see a version of it somebody photoshopped where it's a white strap. Did you see this?
Yeah, the white strap with the
blue inside the globe
and stuff.
Does look a little bit better. However, I do like the black strap.
I think if you had the black strap, the blue globes, and the WWE logo in the center was the silver and red, then I think that would be like really popping and really look great. But the design itself is great. Like I love
beautiful design. This is only the third IC title design I've ever lived through. Probably you as well.
Pretty much, because the classic title is what they brought back and they've been using for a while. It's, slight variations here and there, but it's pretty much the classic title, the oval one, and this one.
Yeah, and I love this one.
I didn't hate the ovular one, but I never really liked it all that much. It was just like a step down. And classic one's one of my favorites.
Towards the end of that particular belt, the Attitude Era style one, they made it really huge. You ever notice that where somewhere like maybe 06, 07-ish, it became like big. Same design and everything, but like the center plate seemed to grow in size, and I never didn't like that one in particular.
I don't remember that actually.
But the belt itself was fine. I think the IC title is always one of the coolest looking championships, period.
Yeah, and this new belt, I like it.
Thumbs up for me. Actually made me really excited to see what they do with the US title.
Yeah, they really need to replace the US title, if not just because of the side plates are missing. And they just desperately, from the very start, have needed new Raw and SmackDown tag titles. Because those big copper pennies were awful. Then they just changed them to quarters or nickels.
I like the tag belts.
You like the Spartan head things?
I'm okay with them being silver.
Silver I'm not opposed to. I don't like the Spartan head things, and I've never liked any of the straps. Like, I don't like the multicolored straps. I call them the candy coated ones in an article recently.
It's been almost 10 years, so maybe you can change it, which is scary. But like, yeah, it's been almost 10 years, so
For the copper looking
for
one?
the copperhead, yeah.
10 years almost?
It was April of 2010.
Jesus God.
Yeah, I just scared the crap out of myself. The Hart Dynasty were the first.
Those belts were hideous. And the fact that when they were changing them originally and they were going to do like the Raw and SmackDown titles, I was really looking forward to getting new belts, and the fact that they just made them silver and all that, I never liked that either. So I hope that they go more with like the women's tag titles, that kind of design.
You know how I know it was 10 years? Because it was the TLC 2009 pay-per-view when DX won the belts and they were ready to go. And Shawn said, "Nah, I think I'll keep walking around with 2 sets of titles."
Which should be like, who approved the design to begin with, if that's the case, you know?
It's kind of like when Punk said that the WWE title with the side plates was ready to go, but he was like, "It's not any better looking than the spinner. Warning you now."
I thought that it was. I actually like the WWE title.
I don't like the main titles.
I never liked the spinner one. I never liked how it said champ.
I never liked the spinner one either, but dude, it's like if in the Attitude Era they kept the Smoking Skull belt for everybody.
Right.
That should have never been the mainline belt. Now, granted, I did grow to like it when it became that belt and the women's belt looked the same, because I think that's how it should. I don't like the fact that there's, identical titles for each brand. But when they merge the brands again, we got some good looking belts. I'll say that.
So if they switch these up, when do you think that they're going to put the new titles? Because we do have to, at some point, get new Raw, SmackDown tag titles, and a United States title. And this came out of nowhere, the Intercontinental. Like, the blue Universal title, that was a necessity. You can't have the red championship on the blue brand. The Intercontinental, though, like, nothing was like, oh, you have to do this now, you know?
I feel like it's probably ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some sort of U.S. title that's ready to go, but they just haven't gotten around to it yet. And
kind of spoiling what we were going to talk about for another hot tag, but we have a new United States champion. Do you think that maybe they're going to introduce it with that?
Now that I think about it, yeah.
Could be.
I'll be honest, I never liked the U.S. title.
I think it's alright.
When I was a kid, I was like 9 or 10 when they released it. I thought it was like, okay, cool, we have a U.S. title, but I never liked the design of it.
It's better than the spinner one, but the WCW United States title is better than this one. Especially because that pretty much just looks like the Intercontinental title. It's like that and the Winged Eagle WWF Championship combined. So it's like, of course I like that one.
You know? The secondary plates are just fucking rad. Secondary belts are just rad. I love secondary titles.
So I'm hoping that they do those soon. I really would like to see new titles just happen. I don't think that they need to wait for any specific moments for them either. Just do them, you know? Especially around now. It's like, people might want to buy it for like some sort of holiday gift sort of thing. Oh, the brand new United States title, the brand new Raw and SmackDown tag titles,
You think it'd be cool? Like, what would you do? How would you design a new tag title?
You got to do the side plates. And I like the idea that they've done before with the side plates for the tag titles for the women, where you can have one logo of each person. I like that.
I just had a funny thought. What if the women's tag titles was actually a new design for the men's tag titles? But when all that happened, they said, all right, well, we got these things. Put the word women on them. And just go.
I'd like that design. Like, I would probably actually just go with that, and instead of having it be the white strap and saying women's, obviously, just replace women's with Raw and SmackDown, and just, I mean, I don't like the red and the blue and the green and the purple and the yellow and whatever different straps that they have. I would just go with black for both. But, if you want to make sure that it's got the red strap and all that, just make that and just change the white to red, change women's to Raw. Do the same thing with the SmackDown side.
I don't like them. I mean, I like them a lot for the women, but I don't like the idea of all these belts look the same. That's not my thing.
I like the uniformity of being like, if they're parallels for each other, then they match. But fair enough.
It's,
personal taste.
Yeah, belts are one of those things. Like, you hate the European title.
Yeah.
I like the European title. You hate the North American title. I also like the North American title.
I don't like the NWA, like the, what do they call it? The one that's got like the United States on it or whatever. The National Championship or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Other people like it. And they can be wrong. But, yeah, it's, to each their own. I hate the European title.
We need to get, like, a custom championship.
I've thought about it. I've given it a lot of thought.
I'm gonna waste so much money on one of those one day.
Yeah,
that is coming.
I mean, that's actually one of the reasons why the circular sort of squared off championship kind of design of the Smark Out Moment thing is out there from me fiddling around with stuff like that. Because I'm just like, I kind of want a Smark Out Moment belt. And if you want us to do a Smark Out Moment belt and you want us to figure out a way to do it, then head up to Patreon. Because if we get the money,
have to make two because I'm gonna want one.
We'll have to figure out somebody because I'm not a good person for graphics. I don't think. Like, I don't feel like I'm good enough to be able to figure that stuff out. But if I could hire somebody that could do it, then hey, we'll make out some Smark Out Moment belts. But maybe if that's not the case, but you do want to pay something towards the Patreon, then if you could put $1 our way, that's greatly appreciated. $5, ad block forgiveness, so on and so forth throughout the line. And there's the Pick Your Poison tier to make sure that we do certain little special features or things that you can actually request. So if you would like us to bring back Belt or Bury, or you would like us to do a play the game because we haven't done that in a while, or you really want to like an editorial review of something or a list of something or whatever, there's lots of flexibility to that. So if you donate to that tier, you hit me up with a message and you tell me some ideas you have in mind. We'll try to do whatever we can. So keep that in mind for that. Also, take advantage of the whole fact that we've got the merchandise shops. There's TeePublic and Redbubble, and that's for Smark Out Moment, Fanboys Anonymous, and A Mango Tees. So you can't quite get a championship belt yet, but you can get a shirt that says Smark Out Moment on it. And you can do that on both those shops pages and a bunch of different other things as well. So, you buy a sticker, you put it on your laptop, or you buy a magnet. You hopefully don't put it on your laptop because that probably will screw things up.
Yeah.
And, even a water bottle or something like that. You never know what people are interested in. And if you have any design ideas you'd like me to do for any of those 3 different pages for those Redbubble and TeePublic stuff, then hit me up about that and I'll try to see what I can do about that too. But that kind of takes care of some of those things. Actually, fuck it, I'll just throw this out too. If you are interested in the Patreon elsewhere, not just on this Mark Out Moment stuff, and you want more on the Fanboys Anonymous content side of things, then hit up the Patreon for Fanboys Anonymous. Same exact deal going on. $1, $5, $50, $1,000, whatever it is. Everything's greatly appreciated. And if you just check out fanboysanonymous.com, you will see anything that I do there on the geek culture spectrum, like the movie reviews and the Weekend Geek and all the other kind of stuff like that. Eventually, throughout the end of this year, I'm going to do my usual Fanboys Film Awards, where I'll talk about like the ideas of the movies that I've seen and what I would give like best picture and different things like that. So, stay tuned if you're interested in that side of things. Let's talk about TV shows. Lots of different TV shows happening on the WWE side of things this week. And I'm just going to run them all down now, the names of them, and then we can kind of backtrack. But there was WWE Untold, Sting's Last Stand. WWE Chronicle, Cain Velasquez. WWE Day of, the 2019 WWE Draft, which was more than one day. Kind of defeats the purpose of Day of, but they're not going to call it Days of. And Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions with The Undertaker, which is essentially a podcast, but where you can see the people. Did you watch any of these?
I saw Sting and I saw Taker because imagine that. They're Sting and Taker.
You watched the 2 that I would say that you should check out.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Day of the Draft was another 17-minute or so waste. It was basically like Bayley going, I'm excited, and Beth Phoenix going, I'm excited, and then Luke Harper going, well, I'm excited, and that's basically it. So don't bother wasting your time on that one. Chronicle, Cain Velasquez. I thought it was interesting that they haven't really had him speak English on WWE, and he speaks English fine. I didn't know that.
He speaks English perfectly fine, yeah.
So
that's why it upset me that they had Rivers talking for him.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that about Cain Velasquez. And when he starts just being like, yeah, I'm trying this or whatever, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I thought that this guy couldn't speak English, really, and that's why they had Rey Mysterio. And then, lo and behold, he could probably cut his own promo and for some
sound
reason,
about as good as Rey Mysterio.
But even when they've had him say things in WWE, he's spoken Spanish. And
yeah,
I kind of curious what that's all about. But the thing that I found the most interesting, because most of it was kind of a waste. It was like him saying, I'm really excited for this opportunity and all that other kind of stuff and, that kind of thing. But there was one moment that I thought was very interesting, which was the before stuff. I think it was before the press conference for Crown Jewel, if I'm remembering correctly, because they aired this portion of that before they started talking about that stuff. So Cain Velasquez is in that kind of like holding area that they have with, all the Vince and Triple H and, that they actually set up that little staging kind of area that they film in sometimes. And they're actually showing him 2 different songs. And Triple H is like, so we got 2 songs we want you to listen to here. Tell us what you think you'd want to come out to. And they had this one song and it didn't really fit. And then they had the second one, and Triple H is justifying it, going, I really like the second one better. I feel like it's got more power to it. It makes you really feel like a badass when you're coming out. And Velasquez is like, yeah, I understand. I totally get that too. Let's go with that one. That was the most interesting part of this whole thing. And I'm like, you know what?
That's fucking cool. That makes me think of like, yeah, they really get people's feedback on certain things.
Yeah. So like, yeah, Cain Velasquez isn't sitting there going, here's a list of 100 different songs and let's try to do this, whatever. But they probably whittled it down to a couple, they whittled it down to the 2, and then went, let's see if he's got a preference between the 2. And the one of them that they didn't pick, I would have thought wouldn't have fit quite a bit, so I'm glad that they went with that one. Because that bump, 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 I was like, yeah, it works. That was kind of neat. I wasn't all that much of a fan of WWE Untold, Sting's Last Stand.
This comes down to one quote for me.
The end?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say until they got to where like the end was, because most of it was recap of what we've already known.
And then he says, almost, and if you feel free to disagree with me in the comments or even you, almost desperately says, but I put the glasses on, I put the bat on, Vince, Hunter, Taker, I'm here. I can do it if we want to do it. Like, let's do it.
It does kind of come off as him being like, come on, can we at least do one more?
Yeah, he's like, I'll even do a face-to-face. Can we just do the thing? Like, I feel bad, because he probably thought, maybe foolishly so, but I'll say, not foolishly, I have forever to do this match. And then he gets there, and then Taker's got the thing with Wyatt that they really wanted him to do. And they're like, don't worry, but next year. And then he gets injured.
Right.
Because, like, realistically, real quick, WrestleMania 32 in Dallas was that 100,000+ seat arena. So, they were going to do Cena Roman, Taker Sting, and that those things were just like going to happen. But
that was the year
was
of like injured.
And Brian wasn't back. But like they had everything lined up to where it would have been great. And honestly, I look back at that and I go, that's one of the worst WrestleManias I've ever seen.
So it's like, he brings out the idea that maybe it could happen, and I highly doubt that it will, but he's still holding on to that, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we do get it at some point. Maybe
I think there's no reason it doesn't. If you fucking did Goldberg and Undertaker, you can at least do a face-to-face with Sting, you cowards. Like, you cowards, you can do a face-to-face.
Shawn Michaels said that he was totally retired. He wrestled a match.
He totally did.
So you never know what's going to happen. And even when people have injuries that seem like they're done for good, Daniel Bryan was done for good.
And then one day he was just back, and it was like they never looked back.
Right.
How crazy is that?
That's awesome. I love it. So you never know. Sting could end up facing The Undertaker. And actually part of what comes into play with that is on the Broken Skull sessions, The Undertaker mentions how he knows he doesn't have a whole lot of time left, if any, but that it's mostly a challenge for him. And that he knows that when he steps in the ring, he's going to feel okay. And then when he gets back, he's going to be feeling a lot of pain. But every time it comes around, it just ends up being like, well, let me see if I can do this, and let me see if I can do that, and whatever. And when push comes to shove, if Sting gets some kind of, all systems go, then that'll be the type of thing where it's like, I'm pretty sure that The Undertaker would probably go, all right, let's try to do something here.
Just do it in fucking Saudi Arabia.
Okay, whether it's Super Showdown or it's... Because another thing that's weird about this, why are they airing this Sting thing to begin with right now?
Yeah, it's not very timely.
This is a week that they've packed with stuff. They didn't need to put this in there.
Like the Cain one, it was at least October and around Hell in a Cell time.
Yeah.
The ECW one, I think it was like around the time of One Night Stand. It was like June-ish, right?
Well, I kind of remember these Untold ones being there as far as being like, we didn't have a whole lot going on this week on the network. Let's put this one on there. But whereas this one, it's like, you got the day of, you got the Broken Skull, you got the Chronicle. You didn't need to put the Untold here. You could have even done it last week or next week or something. Because next week we've got 24 with Trish. And day of Crown Jewel.
If I was really like trying to connect dots, I believe it came out on the 5-year anniversary. Scary, but the 5-year anniversary of his WWE debut at the Survivor Series.
So maybe that's the case. Yeah, it's around Survivor Series. All right, we can justify it that way then. Okay. But even still, the fact that they're bringing it up and it's always that never say never type thing, I'd like to see it if he's able to. It's on my list of matches that I wish that they would have done.
They should have done it. They will do it. I firmly believe that.
What were your thoughts on the Broken Skull sessions?
Loved it. Loved and hate. Well, I don't like Undertaker being human. I'll admit, I'm a full Mark in that regard. I do not like him being
full Mark, but you can be full Mark.
I don't like him being full Mark. I often make that joke. When fans online try to refer to him as Mark, I often reply, no, he should be calling you Mark. I don't know. I've never been a fan of that. That being said, can you ask for more from the WWE Network? This is the content I signed up for 5 years ago.
Here's the thing that the criticism for me about Broken Skull sessions. I kind of wanted them to maybe be a little bit different than just a podcast.
How would they have been different, though?
I really liked the point where they were looking at the video footage and kind of talking about stuff. And I didn't expect it to be anything different, by the way. I expected it to be Stone Cold sits down and has a podcast, but you can see them. So that's fine. But when they started doing that and they were like, oh, damn, look at this picture and whatever, I was like, God, I like that, Because really, this Broken Skull Sessions is exactly the same as the Stone Cold podcast that we had gotten.
I think it's just more exclusive for WWE, where Austin it literally was the Austin podcast. He'd repost them on his podcast feed.
What, the one with Dean Ambrose?
With Dean Ambrose and Vince McMahon. He would post those on his feed. I think these are more exclusive.
It's still the same thing, though.
I'll
check them out every single time. It's not going to be an issue for me.
And he did say it would only be with wrestlers, which, good.
That too. There's people that aren't wrestlers that I would like to hear some opinions about. I don't know, get like Pat Patterson on there, you know?
Well, Pat Patterson is a wrestler. Or was a
That's true.
wrestler.
Yeah, but you know, I mean,
I'm
he's
saying,
not going to
like,
put.
we're not going to do Austin interviews Fluffy on the WWE Network.
Oh yeah, okay. Well then, if that's the case, I thought you were talking about more so like he wouldn't even talk to like Bruce Pritchard or something.
Yeah, like, no, he'll talk to Bruce Pritchard. I think the next big one they do is Punk.
That'd be good. Be interested in that.
Because they can bullshit and go, yeah, we almost had our match, but I decided I was retired for good.
Any standout moments of this Undertaker thing?
I laugh at the idea of the Undertaker being afraid of the Sheik. And Undertaker being like, I shook Andre's hand as a 9-year-old kid. Because how much older was Andre than Taker?
Right. I don't know. But I like that. I thought that like those kind of moments were fun. And I think that when he was talking about the idea of like Austin had said, who do you go to for advice? And he said, Jake. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense.
Yep. He did credit Jake Snake in a prior interview as like, he really helped me form the character. And yeah, the methodical nature of the character does kind of have those Jake Roberts like mannerisms.
Makes sense.
Then,
talking slowly, talking low, being psychological about everything,
yeah,
working a
really
match as if it's not
describing.
just like a spot fest.
That's one of my favorite early Taker matches too, the WrestleMania 8 match. It's a really good match. Like for that time period.
I don't think there's anything that they said on here that really like maybe kind of go like, oh my god, this is so crazy. Like I really want to make sure that I write a note about it or anything. But I do think that it was worth the watch or the listen even. You don't have to watch it.
And he also talks about Vince. And
Yeah.
my favorite thing about that is, first of all, again, that's why you subscribe to the network. To hear wrestlers talk about Vince and their relationship with him. I think that a good line is, listen, it doesn't matter what creative disagreements we have. He gave me my chance and I'll forever remain loyal. But what else do you need to know?
I say check that one out. If you got more time, check out the Untold Sting one. But at this point, you kind of don't need to. And just bypass the other two. Especially Day Of. You don't need to watch that. What I will be watching, though, is something that they announced today. I mean, they had announced that Worlds Collide was going to be happening instead of TakeOver Houston. But they actually clarified a little bit more of what that actually means now. So on January 25th, the day before the Royal Rumble, we're going to get Worlds Collide. And they're actually subtitling it NXT versus NXT UK. Now, the first time that they did Worlds Collide, because they've only done 2 of them, right?
They did like one of them, and then they just spaced it out into like 4 different episodes, I thought.
Well, I mean, like 2 sets. I'm not.
Did they do
any.
2 sets?
Yeah, they did. They definitely did 2. I don't remember if they did 3 now that I'm thinking off the top of my head. But the first set, they had like, we're going to classify that it's anybody from a wide range of like 205 Live, NXT, NXT UK. The second one, they introduced Raw and SmackDown.
It was the women, right? Was it the women?
Well, that was a part of the second one.
Okay.
The first one actually had both, but it was like, the way that they kind of did it was just random matches for the first thing. And then with the other one, they actually had like, okay, one night we're going to air all the women's matches. On another night, we're going to air the Battle Royal for this. And the next night, we're going to do that. So that's how they kind of did it. But now they just classified it NXT versus NXT UK. So 205 Live, not even a part of the mix, because now that's just like a part of NXT. But they specifically said in the previews, brand supremacy.
I want a War Games match. I know we just saw 2 of them, but I want the Undisputed Era versus Imperium inside War Games.
Well, this makes me think even more so the idea that I've brought up before. I don't think that next year we're getting Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT at Survivor Series. I think that we're getting Raw versus SmackDown again, and NXT versus NXT UK on the takeover before that.
No, I still think they're going with Raw vs. SmackDown vs. NXT. I think they really like it.
They might. It worked out better in some ways than we would have thought that it would have, but the fact that they're doing NXT versus NXT UK means it's at least on their minds to have the NXT people feuding with each other instead of just we're all one big happy family.
I think that they got backed into a corner where somebody might have said, don't do a takeover in Houston. You know, like...
I don't know why that would be an issue.
But if you look at it, since they've come on TV, they were lumped into Survivor Series, and that threw that takeover off. And now they're not even doing a takeover for the Royal Rumble, and their next takeover is going to be a solo event on a Sunday.
But that's replacing what Fastlane basically was.
But maybe they're going to start doing random solo events on a Sunday because they're no longer the pair to the main roster. They are their own roster.
It would surprise me if we had, other than the WrestleMania one that we know we're going to get, I don't think we're going to get takeovers before big events anymore.
I think we'll get one for Mania and one for SummerSlam. And then I think we're going to start seeing independent takeovers.
Like, I would think that War Games next year, if it happens before the whole Survivor Series thing, like, again, then maybe we do get the NXT versus NXT UK thing, like I'm saying. But if not, then they're going to try to separate it, I think. Maybe do it, like, a couple weeks beforehand, week or so afterward, something like that. I don't know. But Worlds Collide, I like that name. I like the gimmick behind it, that it's like, it's kind of extra. Now it's going to be a little bit more, because now it's basically going to be a takeover, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they seem like they're going to treat it as if it's like the NXT version of Survivor Series, but we don't know any matches yet, too. It's just, it seems like they're pairing it off as being, if the champions are still the same, of course, that we might get like Adam Cole versus Walter and Shayna Baszler versus Kylie Rae. Or
I think we'll get Rhea Ripley versus Kylie Rae.
We might get like Imperium versus the Undisputed Era. We might get, any of these kind of things where it's NXT versus NXT UK. Probably Lio Rush will represent NXT and defend the Cruiserweight. Excuse me. Defend the Cruiserweight Championship against somebody from NXT UK. I would assume Jordan Devlin. Who knows? But that's basically going to be like, let's have all hands on deck. But then we know we're getting, before that, we're getting TakeOver UK Blackpool too.
That's going to be a good show.
They could have Toni Storm or Piper Niven take the spot away from Kylie Rae and either of them against Shayna Baszler. That'll be interesting. Technically speaking, Joe Coffey could be Walter, but he's not going to.
Well, Jim McIntyre did.
You could get the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Undisputed Era, against the NXT UK Tag Team Champions. No mid-card title for NXT UK, but... Yet, but at least as far as these tapings go. Not happening before TakeOver Blackpool.
I would like to see them go Undisputed Era, Kyle and Bobby go against the Grizzled Young Vets, but I don't think they'll win.
That could be a way to get around that, though, actually. The way you just said that. They could do the Tag Team Champions and North American Champion against Gallus. Because they would be the NXT UK Tag Team Champions and one extra member.
Oh, there you go.
So you do that. You do Walter and Adam Cole. Baszler against Storm or Baszler against Niven.
It's a mistake to not do the 4-on-4. You got it. Like, it's a built-in match.
Even that, though, I mean, it might not necessarily have to be Gallus that goes into the match like that. It could be the 3 other members of Imperium.
I think I'd like to see Lio Rush defend against the Big Strong Boy.
Could be Tyler Bate. Could be, I mean, it's anybody on the NXT UK side that would be under 205. So, could be Devlin, Arrow, Kenny
There
Williams.
goes our question of where does Cassius Ohno fit into this?
Yeah, so they could do a lot of fun
Dave
things
Mastiff
like that.
versus Bronson Reed.
That'd be fun.
Two big boys.
Really quick side note: Ridge Holland showed up on NXT UK. He did his whole debut. He's the former Luke Menzies. Horrible name. Ridge Holland's much better. And man, his entrance theme so fucking catchy.
Yep.
'Cause it can't stop winning. It's just like downloading that immediately. Just
repackaging works sometimes, guys.
Yeah, he's really. He went from a guy that it was just like, why is he just sitting around doing nothing in a performance center to, oh cool, Ridge Holland. I like this dude.
Where's Caesar Bonini? Third.
Still trying to figure out how to pronounce his name. That's where he is. Cesaro Bananas.
Chiquita Banana.
One last hot topic. Hot topic again. Why did I say that?
It's a hot tag, Tony. You're forgetting your own gimmick.
Yeah. By the way, I still didn't find a pulse. So we didn't quite sort that out yet. One last hot tag, as I should say, is just to kind of talk about Monday Night Raw, because a couple things happened that were pretty interesting, and sometimes we like to kind of round things out about that. It's not like it's already 2:45 in the morning.
No, absolutely.
So it started off with a town hall. They really like that lately. That's been like a buzzword in like pop culture now. And Seth Rollins is trying to motivate the locker room by basically doing the worst thing you could do as a motivators. Y'all suck. Y'all fucked up. God damn it, stop sucking. Hey, you sucked. Hey, you also sucked.
And all of the news sites jumped on this so appropriately and said Seth Rollins finally gave that rah-rah speech. Because if you remember when the whole Saudi thing happened, there was a report by Meltzer that Rollins gave a big rah-rah speech to the locker room, and they had him go out there and do it. And I love this. I loved this entire segment.
Loved it too.
Rollins, my 4 favorite wrestlers of all time, Edge, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Jericho. All 4 guys that at all points in their careers as heels became so over that they had to turn. But at the end of the day, they work immensely better as heels. And Rollins is in that same category.
The best Rollins I think we've had so far. It got annoying at a certain point, but I think overall the best Rollins we've had was the
Authority Rollins. Yep. Authority Rollins was really good. And this, I'm going to compare him to Michaels again. Michaels was a heel. And for the whole, when he was broke off from Marty Jannetty. And they turned him babyface after the Diesel match. And he didn't even really like that. And when he finally got to turn heel again, I think in 97, he said, oh man, I needed that edge to my character back. And Rollins has very much felt like a 96 Shawn. He slayed the beast. Everybody likes him. But he's not really clicking as much as he does when he's a snarky little prick.
Yeah. And I mean, he's been getting booed lately, so the smart thing to do is to turn it to where you're supposed to boo him. Something that they didn't do with Roman Reigns, something that they didn't do with John Cena,
As soon as Owen stunned him and he sold the crap out of it, I was like, yep.
Heel turn.
They have chemistry, and this is going to work so much better than when Owens was a heel and Rollins was a face.
I tell you, one of my favorite moments of this whole thing, though, there's 2 that stand out to me. One of them being Rey Mysterio. I beat Brock Lesnar twice, and you couldn't get the job done with a lead pipe and your stupid kid.
So good.
I like that. But even better is Randy Orton doing the fucking jerk off hand motion as he leaves. And my comment on the site was, LOL, give him the belt. Because he's just... Randy Orton has been killing it in so many different things lately. He's such an ass, and I love it.
And I don't think the camera was meant to shoot him.
Probably
as he was doing the jerk off motion with the place blue, because it was so fucking funny.
And that's in this segment, we established that Seth Rollins is going to be a heel now. He's still leaning towards that instead of 100% full heel.
I wasn't he's not. Sure that.
Well, the thing is, you never really know until they start tagging him up with heels. Or baby faces, for that matter. somebody like an Alexa Bliss. She's been flirting with the idea of being a babyface for the past like year practically. Yet they can still on a dime just be like, nah, she's been a heel the whole time. She's just been like the heel partner of a babyface like Nikki Cross, who she was practically a heel at one point too. But when they start doing stuff like, all right, we're gonna have a 5-on-5 match, and it's gonna be Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins, and then you're like, okay, Seth Rollins is a heel. Orton tonight, very much so. All right, he's babyface, like no question about it. Orton's a babyface now. Rollins is pretty much a heel. Loved the start of this.
I think Rollins and Kevin Owens is a waste of a match for TLC. That's WrestleMania level.
Could be.
But I will say now that he's a heel, he's calling out Punk so much that even if it's just after whatever Rollins match is at WrestleMania, I fully expect Rollins to eat a GTS.
If they can't do that because they can't work something out with Punk, that's going to be a real shame. Because, man, if Punk could do that, the place will erupt.
Yeah. To the point where people thought they were getting him tonight.
Right.
Because they're in Chicago, and he's really hammering it home that, like, yeah, he just wants to sit behind a desk in Los Angeles. I don't know.
I like that. I think that, oddly enough, this whole, like, Rollins not getting over thing, that might be the first time that they're really kind of understanding that maybe they need to switch things up, and maybe they're actually going to go with something that works. So I'm feeling
doing it
positive about that.
It's easier for Rollins. Rollins has been a heel. It's not like, you can't turn him. You can argue Roman has too, but Roman hasn't since the Shield broke up, and it's already been 5 years.
More so now, I'm also happy about the idea that I doubt that this means that we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, it's not happening. Right now, Raw's biggest babyfaces are Kevin Owens and Rusev.
Or Randy Orton.
Told you, Randy Orton at Royal Rumble.
Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble. I could see that definitely happening now. We had Rusev's got a restraining order. He comes in, he beats the crap out of Bobby Lashley. I didn't care.
This was one of my more favorite segments of this entire debacle, just because it's gotten to the point where Lana's completely overacting, but it works because nobody believes the storyline. We all know that they're happily married behind the scenes. And it's just, how far can we get away with all the campy soap opera stuff?
I still just don't like it. So to me,
I like
even though
yelling,
this was,
I'm back. Or was it I'm bad or I'm back?
I think it was I'm back. I don't remember for sure though.
He's just like screaming as he's in handcuffs. I'm back.
To me, this is the same sort of thing where it's like, this is somebody's pet project and somebody really wants to do the acting side of things, and it just reminds me of Brandy Rhodes. But like, either one of them, I'm just not digging them.
They added a new wrinkle where later on in the night, they asked Lana how Lashley was doing, and she's like, I'm finding a way to cope. Thank you. Basically saying, even with Lashley, Lana's just a selfish bitch. And she's all about herself. She's like, yeah, never mind Lashley. I'm doing okay, thank you.
I thought it was weird that Rusev said, this isn't about you.
Yeah.
She's like, so you're more mad at Lashley for... Okay, whatever.
Maybe, they're going to expand on that. I really think it's just like, how far can we push this before we absolutely need to stop? And will it be a Lana
on a pole match?
Not Lana on a pole, but like, can we put Lana above the ring somehow? Just the man who gets you.
They've got that crash cage thing.
Ooh, you know what? Crash cage or divorce papers, hang them above the ring, ladder match.
It's all awful. I don't like it.
Well, but like, people laugh at that, but they had a whole ass ladder match to decide the fate of Dominic Mysterio that we now see on TV regularly, and we're supposed to just ignore that Eddie Guerrero Kim on TV. I was like, yeah, that's my son.
Well, see, I don't think that Vicky Guerrero is going to be a part of this Bobby Lashley thing.
Oh, I hope not. God knows she could. She made out with the Big Show on screen, for God's sake.
Yeah. We had AOP. They finally returned to action. They beat the crap out of Hawkins and Ryder. No surprises there. Andrade beats Akira Tozawa. No real surprise there. Jerry Lawler, though, being a dick about it. He was saying like short jokes and stuff, and it was like, all right, you're trying to be a heel.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler is full heel. He was full heel all night. He basically was like, yeah, and Rusev needs to get over it. And by the way, Rollins is right. Shame on all of us for losing. So Lawler's full heel, which is better than him trying to be a babyface and just gasping the entire fucking. Ah! So,
what's up with Theo Madden?
I think he's wrestling again. He changed his Twitter picture to one of his like wrestling photos.
If that's the case, then that's okay. But if they're still just trying to play off the idea that he's selling the attack from
Where
Brock
was
Lesnar,
Joe? Put Joe back on the fucking commentary booth. Joe's fantastic.
He was cool. Have some fun with that. Put new people in there all the time. Just, play around with it. We have the furthering of the Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy thing. Matt Hardy, though, pops up, and it's like, all right, I guess Matt Hardy's on Raw.
He got his ass kicked. And, got all knees to the face. I'm surprised people don't say that Buddy Murphy is just ripping off Kenny Omega's moveset, because he literally did the running V-trigger to the V-trigger on the ropes to then Kota Ibushi's Kamigoye knee. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm not a fan of that when Kenny does it, where it's just like, and a knee, and you get a knee, and a knee, and a knee, and that's not my thing. But I like Buddy Murphy versus Aleister Black.
Yeah, I'm cool to see that. I'm really curious about the Hardy situation, because now it's kind of making me think that if the Hardy Boys do kind of come back and swing, that the Usos need to go to SmackDown. And
in that match,
if we see the Hardy Boys and the Usos, nope, I don't think so. Wow. So that'll be like kind of a shame if they do that. But they were on opposite brands before that whole situation anyway. But now it's like, all right, well, if the Usos are on Raw when they come back, and if the Hardy Boys are end up being on Raw, then SmackDown's really kind of, they kind of needed somebody else. So maybe the Usos and Naomi go to SmackDown, and maybe they kind of get around that a little bit. Maybe the Usos even turn heel or something, just kind of change things up a little bit. I don't know.
They were mostly heels with this new character, haven't they been?
Yeah, they've been a babyface for a while.
Yeah? Turn them heel again.
They can do that kind of stuff, and that way they can keep doing their New Day feud that they keep wanting to do over and over again. But
those are never bad matches, though. Like, yeah, my thing is, true. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and you ain't got nobody else on SmackDown, so,
Tell you about fixing something that's broken, though. They had this advertised as Humberto Carrillo against AJ Styles. And I was just like, God, I don't want Carrillo to win this United States title. And then Gallows and Anderson attacking him. I'm like, yay, this is great. Now, for anybody who's going to say I crap too much on Carrillo, I don't dislike Carrillo as like a talent. Like, he's got some stuff to him. But I think that they're pushing him way too hard. And I think that he isn't going to have a high ceiling.
Ricardo Maivia is fine. They need to flip the switch where he turns into The Rock.
He's just not somebody who I would be as invested in as they are. And when they had him replaced with Ricochet, I was like, oh, cool. I'm cool with Ricochet winning the title again. Orton comes out. Drew McIntyre comes out. Rey Mysterio comes out. We get a nice little promo back and forth where I liked the part where Ricochet's like, well, why don't we just have like a Fatal 4-Way #1 contenders match? And everybody's just sort of like, all right, seems kind of cool. And then Gallows and Anderson are even like, I think that sounds kind of nice. And like,
AJ's trying to get out of it. He's like, what do you think, Gallows? I don't know, man. Monday Night Raw. That actually sounds pretty cool. Anderson. Nah, sounds great.
Yeah, you got a hot Chicago crowd. This is kind of neat. I like that. That was a nice little touch. And Mysterio wins. And then Mysterio wins the title. A little bit of help from Orton to, reiterate the idea that he's a babyface.
Because are you throwing away Ricochet and Randy already?
I don't know. Maybe it's not so much a feud. Maybe it's more so kind of like here and there working together.
A means to an end to turn Orton face.
Something, yeah.
I'm
It does seem like they're kind of doing a whole Styles and Orton thing going forward.
They're going to do a tables match. Or a chairs match, because
that chairs thing, I hate it so much.
I just want Randy Orton and AJ Styles to feud more, because they had the one match, and it wasn't everything I thought it could be.
Well, then we had, let's talk about the United States title, though. We did talk about this earlier with the United States title possibly switching. Like, maybe now's the time that they do it.
I can't help but wonder if Joe is just going to come back, and if they're going to go in a full fucking circle and do the Joe Dominic Ray thing again. Because, like, they're determined to get that shit out there.
Well, who are the options? I mean, right now on my champions predictions page, which you should check on, smarkmma.com.
The way Rey Mysterio's career has been, they're going to drop it to Andrade so quick.
Andrade was the person that I had on there. So I had figured the most likely options were, in no particular, it's in alphabetical order, Andrade, Bobby Lashley, Buddy Murphy, Drew McIntyre, Eric Rowan, which I highly doubt it, Humberto Carrillo, Ricochet, and Samoa Joe. Those are the ones that I think are hovering around that. Because if they wanted to put somebody over as like a babyface who beats them, Carrillo and Ricochet are the two that make the most sense. But I don't think it's going in that direction. And I doubt that they would put it on Buddy Murphy above some of the other ones, especially because we're thinking now, when does he lose that title? On the road to WrestleMania or at WrestleMania? Less likely they're going to want to put that spot on Buddy Murphy. So I think it's kind of Andrade, Lashley, McIntyre, or Joe. And between that bunch, I mean, Andrade is the one that you got to go with first.
My head says WrestleMania 36 still looks like Ray and Dominic win the Raw Tag titles. They would have to probably beat AOP.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening.
They had him 619 Brock Lesnar. And then Brock Lesnar German suplex Dominic in what was my favorite moment of the night. But I don't know. I think Ray will probably lose it very quickly to Andrade. And then the U.S. title, which honestly, last couple of years at Mania, has had like some main event caliber talent. I think Randy Orton fought the U.S. title not that long ago, right?
I could see him doing it again. It wouldn't shock me at all if we got Andrade versus Randy title, Orton.
Right? On the road to that? Or like he beat Rude at Fastlane.
It was Rude, Mahal, Orton, and Corbin? I don't remember the fourth guy.
No, Rusev.
Yeah.
And Rude and Orton were switching the title, and I think Orton actually walked in as champion because we made the joke that Jinder beat Orton twice for his titles.
Yeah, and Jinder won it, and then he lost it to Jeff Hardy.
Yep, and then that's when we got the whole Shinsuke thing.
Yeah, that's true.
All right,
the United States titles flopped around a lot.
Yeah, it's been like a main eventer belt. Like, hey, if we can't figure out anything to do with this guy who should be WWE champion, we're gonna give him the U.S. title. They've done it with Cena, AJ, now with Ray, who goes from fighting Lesnar to being U.S. champion.
So I'm thinking Andrade. I'm thinking he goes into WrestleMania as the champion, and I'm thinking probably against Randy Orton.
Andrade. I don't know if he goes in against Orton. I'll say Fatal 4-Way. Andrade, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, and insert fourth name here that I can't think of right now. I don't think
Ricochet.
Orton. There you go. There it is. That's your U.S. title match right there. I'm saying it right now. It's 2:30 in the morning on November 26th. WrestleMania Fatal 4-Way. Black, Buddy Murphy, Andrade, Ricochet. And Randy Orton will fight Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, you know what? That makes sense.
There it is.
We had Asuka beat Charlotte Flair with the Green Mist again. We got Kyle Roberts losing to Eric Rowan. Still don't know what's underneath that little thing. I actually would rather prefer it if there's nothing in there.
What's in the box? That's nothing.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm kind of assuming that it's supposed to be some kind of like a rat or something. But it'd be more interesting if he's talking to nothing. And he's just sort of nuts. I'd be cool with that. Or if they want to play around with it and have like some kind of odd meaning to something, it's some kind of inanimate object that wouldn't be able to respond.
It's his sheep mask.
It's
I'd be okay with
carbon
that.
rod.
It's the carbon.
And then they can throw a parade for it, you know.
With the inanimate carbon rod.
We had a fun little backstage thing with the WWE shop and the Iconics, and R-Truth steals a replica 24/7 title. I thought that was kind of funny.
That 24/7 title is reaching its climax, isn't it?
I think it already has.
Yeah.
And then we had the Rollins thing, and that ended up with AOP attacks KO, but they don't attack Seth Rollins. So,
but he was waiting for them to attack him, but then he also attacked KO.
Yeah, just to reiterate that he's the guy that you should be booing.
I'm not big on the idea of Rollins having the AOP as heaters. It kind of reminds me of when Punk claims he invented the Shield because they wanted Big Show to be his heater. I'm just not about it.
That was the thing? I didn't know about that.
So real quick rehash of Punk's podcast of the Art of Wrestling. He said he created the Shield because Rock wanted to work a heel, and Punk didn't want to turn heel because of merchandise money, but he wanted to fight The Rock, so he's like, I'll turn heel. And they're like, cool, we're going to put a stable with you. And it'll be Big Show, Daniel Bryan, and one guy from NXT. We're thinking Seth Rollins.
Wow, that would have been a weird setup.
And he's like, no Big Show. I don't want to be paired with Bryan because we should be enemies. And how about we do Rollins, Ambrose, and Chris Hero? And they're like, cool, but not Hero, Roman Reigns. And he's like, fine, whatever. And then day of, they're like, oh, and they're not even gonna be with you. Suck. Like, there's the story of the Shield.
Strange.
I like
Imagine that like other world where Big Show, Bryan,
and O'Brien, and they're called like the best in the world. Like that's the name of the stable. Yeah, it's just that doesn't sound good.
Weird. And then Ambrose has this match with Mick Foley.
Yeah, and then Ambrose comes in with AJ Lee doing the whole psych ward bit, and they have the match with Foley.
And we get reintroduced a couple months later to Liaki.
Liaki with the Usos.
Weird.
That Earth 2 doesn't work for me.
Yeah, you know, that's sometimes you just have to say Barry Allen's better than Jay Garrick.
You know, a lot of that, like, the Ambrose Foley thing sounds great, but Liaki with the Usos could have buried his ass.
Yeah, that could have been a big problem. And then who knows all the, you know, trickle down effects that everything changes.
And then all of a sudden you're looking at WrestleMania 29 and the Big Show ends the Undertaker's.
Maybe then Ryback would have won the.
Oh, right. I totally would have won. Everything changes.
Yeah. Weird. Anyway, that was Raw. Those were all the hot tags.
I'm going to do a once over of the news just to make sure nothing's breaking and nobody's died.
The other thing to address is the fact, while you're doing that, is that we didn't get any kind of confirmation about the card for Starrcade. We had mentioned before that we might talk about Starrcade on the hot tags. We got a commercial. It's happening this Sunday. It seems like it's only going to be an hour.
Yeah, that's what they did last year.
So I would assume we're getting at most 3 matches, but probably 1 or 2.
Oh, wait, no, we didn't talk about one thing.
What's that?
Since you said Starrcade, it jarred my memory. Slamboree and SuperBrawl.
That's right, yeah. Cody Rhodes is also trying to get those in the mix. He wants to have SuperBrawl and Slamboree.
He's applied to trademark SuperBrawl and Slamboree.
Yeah, I like those names, so I'm okay with that.
I do
but
as well.
I don't like the whole let's just do WCW
exactly.
events. That's the thing.
SuperBrawl is a great name. Come up with something similar. Slamboree is a great name. Come up with something similar. I think there became this weird taboo in like the late 90s of we don't want to do corny wrestling names anymore, like SummerSlam. Like you'll notice in WWE, the big 4, and really only 3 of them, have any kind of reference to action or slamming, because it's WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam, and that's it. And even AEW hasn't really had that. They have Full Gear, which, okay, Double or Nothing, All Out, and a 4th pay-per-view to be named.
Yeah, and Fight for the Fallen and Fighter Fest are just side
Fighter
things.
Fest is a good thing. I like Fighter Fest, the name of it.
Yeah, it's a parody thing, so it makes sense.
But I like
I don't want AEW SuperBrawl. I want WWE SuperBrawl.
I don't even want that at this point.
I always liked the name SuperBrawl, so if they brought that back, I like the name SuperBrawl better than if they would have done like. I'm the type of person that thinks that WWE Elimination Chamber is stupid, that they should call that No Way Out with the Elimination Chamber match in there. But,
I like Halloween Havoc. Real quick, WCW didn't have too many pay-per-view names. What do you think of Spring Stampede?
Not a fan.
What do you think of...
Although Spring Stampede to me, though, is on that Season's Beatings kind of thing, where if you do it in the spring and you make it a WWE Network special, make it a live event, call it Spring Stampede, put it on the network, make it an hour long like the Starrcade thing, and be like, oh, we're doing Spring Stampede. Do it in, I don't know, April something, February something, whatever,
And I'm guessing you feel the same way about Fall Brawl.
Fall Brawl, Halloween Havoc, Spring Stampede, New Year's Revolution. I forget if there was any of the other ones, but I had a whole list of them. Any of the ones that are like seasonal like that, do it like that.
St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Nah, you don't need to bring that back.
What do you think of World War III?
Can't really do it anymore.
I like that. It's one of those cheesy gimmicks that I've really always enjoyed. They had Mayhem, which was towards the end of we're starting to get into that WWE mindset of like Unforgiven and Mayhem. And
Sold Out. I wasn't a big fan of.
Sold Out only works because the NWO sold out. Like that just never seemed to work beyond the NWO for me.
I hated Greed.
Yeah, it's just a stupid name. I think that was actually everything on the WCW calendar.
Well, there's Great American Bash.
Yeah, but
I always like that, but to me, it's kind of like the Great American Bash at the beach should be like one fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's I'm trying to look at the list right now. So there was like that Bunkhouse Stampede thing, which I think is stupid.
So like there's like one-time events like Chi-Town Rumble and stuff like that.
Battle Bowl, which I think is okay. Beach Blast.
They did Battle Bowl, basically, with the fucking Diamond Dozen Battle Royal.
Capital Combat's a one-time thing.
Road Wild.
Korea, that kind of thing. Yeah, I didn't like Road Wild. So I'm not a big fan of Starrcade, actually.
Really?
That's probably like heresy, but yeah, I don't like the Starrcade name.
Uncensored?
Not a fan.
I think that's what the Blood and Guts pay-per-view is going to
be. I really hope that that's not their thing. AEW Bloods and Guts, remember?
Bloods and Guts. So yeah, there's the overrun of WCW pay-per-views.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Who knows what hot tags we're going to get tomorrow? I don't know. But one thing I do know that we're going to get on Wednesday is the mailbag.
Yay.
So I've whittled it down to a couple of different questions here. I should send that to you guys while we can. But last chance essentially is like Tuesday afternoon or so for you to send us those things. So we get a little bit of time to answer that stuff. But send them away and we will answer as many of them as we get around to doing and all that. I don't want to make it like a super long one because it is Wednesday before Thanksgiving and we got crap we got to do. But yeah, it's a good way to pick our brains about some stuff. Could be wrestling related, doesn't have to be.
Could be food related, could be Thanksgiving Macy's Day Parade related. Do you like the parade?
Nope.
Really?
Yeah. I got a buddy of mine that does the Mummers Parade. And he's always just like, oh man, you should come, you should do this, whatever. I'm like, nah. Not my thing. I do like the video of the Barney that got destroyed though. I do like that.
I enjoyed the Thanksgiving Day Parade.
I did as a kid. It's just one of those things over
time you've just lost.
It's the same thing for pretty much holidays in general to me.
Yeah.
Like, to me, this upcoming Thursday is not Thanksgiving to me. It's going to be a meal and not even one of my more favorite meals of the year.
Really?
And
are you a turkey guy or a ham guy?
I like ham a hell of a lot better, but we do turkey. I
like the fact that this is the only time of year you get turkey, because like people, at least in my family, we keep that like, nope, it's a Thanksgiving thing. So I enjoy the turkey.
That's where I'm cool with it, because it throws me off if people are like, we got to do Thanksgiving turkey, and then for Christmas we're doing turkey. We're doing just did it, you know. Yeah, do something different for Christmas. Do, you know, I don't even know what.
Ham.
Ham is my go-to. Ham and lasagna, and some kind of thing like that.
Or like a roast beef.
Yeah.
Or a roast beast if you're in Whoville.
So yeah, that's coming up Wednesday, and then of course at the end of the week we're gonna have Starrcade. So if that's only an hour long and we only get that, I mean, I'll probably do some kind of a post show, but it might even just be me.
We'll do it on the hot tags.
You know, maybe we'll do that. It kind of depends. I don't know how much effort I really want to put into it, to be perfectly honest with everybody. I got a lot of other stuff on my plate, not including Thanksgiving. And if I get around to doing some more of that, then cool. If not, then we will talk about it on hot tags.
And if you want to tell us what's on your Thanksgiving plate, you can leave a comment below or tell us on the hot tags. Yeah. Or about the mailbag. The hot topics.
On the hot topics. Any other plugs you want to toss out?
Yeah, WrestleZone.com. I do the WrestleZone daily, Monday through Thursday. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice. Check out Fightful.com, what I believe to be the most trustworthy source of wrestling news overall, and all the breaking stories on Fightful Select. And check out eWrestling News. It's usually one of the first 3 sites that pops up if you do a Google. So, click the one that says Wrestling News. That's probably me. Thank you.
And I still have to mention the fact that Champsgiving is going on, even though Thanksgiving is coming up.
Now, what's on your Champsgiving plate?
It looks like right now the Champsgiving plate is Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy, Bubba Ray Dudley, and The Undertaker, and that we do kind of have some people pulling out there. It seems like I know where we're going to actually have as far as like the finale for it, but who knows, things have changed in the past at the last minute or so, and there is kind of a 50-50 right now. It's Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam. They're only 1 vote difference.
There's one name of those 4 that if that person wins, I think it's a perfectly acceptable best hardcore champion. I'll let you...
Who are you going with?
RVD. Of those 4, it'd be RVD. I think RVD is...
He might not even make it into the final. If it's only 1 vote
like,
difference
if it ends
right
up
now.
being Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker, then it's like, okay. But if it ends up being RVD and The Undertaker, this is a perfect segue for 2001 Wrestling Odyssey, because at the December pay-per-view, Vengeance, RVD and Undertaker fought for the Hardcore Championship. So there is a tie in there. Now, that is our retro podcast where Callum Muggins and I go back in time. And the November episode will be out within the next few days. So maybe by the 30th, maybe by December 1st. We're looking to record that on Black Friday. And yeah, check out all the episodes for the rest of the year.
Yeah, do that. Check out the tournament. Check out all the stuff on smarkoutmoment.com. Check out fanboysanonymous.com. Check out the social media stuff, but don't put a whole lot into it just in case it's all one of those things we were talking about at the beginning of the whole situation. And we will see you at the mailbag. That'll be coming up on Wednesday. So for now, this has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.